Hey everyone, my name's Lily and I'm the book blogger behind Utopia State of Mind, and today I'm going to share with you my favorite YA contemporary debuts from 2021. So I only have, let's see, how many do I have to share with you? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7. And I actually may have the most of the category for this one than any categories I've had so far, because I have 5. So 5 out of 7, that's pretty good. So for reference, these are the 5 that I have, and also pretty similar color scheme. I feel like when I was taking them off my color scheme shelves, I realized that a lot of them were the same color, so that's why they look a little bit empty. But anyway, let's just get started. I'm going chronologically. I could always make my life a little bit easier by just going down from the pile, but okay, so the first one is Firekeepers Daughter. This cover is very shiny, so I'm gonna have to hold it like this. First of all, I'm gonna give you a synopsis of Firekeepers Daughter. So it revolves around 18-year-old Donna. She is dreaming about going to college when a family tragedy strikes, and so then she puts her future on hold to look after her mother. Then she meets Jamie, who is a charming new recruit on her brother Levi's hockey team. So basically, that's the setup, and then as soon as things happen, a lot of stuff happens. So basically, she starts to fall for Jamie, but she senses that this new hockey person is hiding some secrets. Then all of a sudden it comes to light that she witnesses a shocking murder, but also then there's an FBI investigation of a lethal new drug. So that's what I meant when a lot of stuff happens. I think in Firekeeper's Daughter, what I really loved about this the most is that there's a lot of sense of action and thriller, which I didn't really expect. I mean, okay, as I'm reading the synopsis out to you, murder probably is a good bet that there's gonna be some kind of thriller aspects. But tell that to past me. Okay, I did not expect to be as swept away with the plot and the action as I was, and I was truly swept away. It is a lot bigger book than I thought it was gonna be, but I think I read it in the same amount of time it would take me to read a much shorter book because I was so invested in trying to figure out what happened. And another theme that I really liked about Firekeeper's Daughter is that it always kind of explores this idea about changing a community or justice within a community and outside of a community. So as I mentioned before, there's an FBI investigation, and so I loved how this debut really explores this idea of how can we make change happen in a community? How can we make kind of a difference, sort of different traditions, different, differences in a community, and how a community, an insular community might have a sense of justice and fairness versus, the larger world, and how do those two things kind of interact. So that's why I loved Firekeeper's Daughter, which is so difficult to show you. I guess I should have been tilting it down the whole time. Anyway, the next one is Counting Down with You, always on the bottom of my pile. Counting Down with You. Oh, this was so cute. Okay, so Counting Down with You follows mainly Karina, and so Karina is wanting to get through high school, and so then her parents go abroad to Bangladesh for 4 weeks, and so Karina's like, cool, I can do my homework, great. But then she ends up tutoring the school's resident bad boy, whose name is Ace Clyde, and so then she decides to pretend date him, or I don't actually, yes, she pretends to fake date him. I was gonna say, I don't actually remember the lead up to how that happens, because I probably read it a really long time ago. But anyway, they decide to fake date, and of course, in fake dating, what's gonna happen? What I really loved with this one was Karina and Ace's relationship, and how their friendship, and how the way that when you meet someone, you can kind of see into the essence of that person, or see into the soul of that person. Those people who you don't really know very well, but it feels like once you've met them, they can instantly see into your soul and into kind of what makes you tick. And I loved that interaction between Karina and Ace. I also loved in Counting Down with You, I'm reading this part from my review, because I really enjoyed the fake dating trope, which is one of my favorite tropes ever, really. But I also really loved how, as I wrote in my review, it's about the struggle to choose our own future, to choose ourselves, to realize we don't have to fight alone, and to find strength within ourselves. So take it from past me when she wrote that review, but that's certainly why I really love this one. And also, what I didn't realize from the cover blurb, or not the cover blurb, but from the synopsis, was that Counting Down With You really also explores the stigma of mental health and about the parental and cultural expectations that can leave us feeling trapped. So I don't think that that's super touched upon in the synopsis that I just read to you or paraphrased to you, but that's also one of the reasons why I really loved Counting Down With You. The next one is Hurricane Summer, which was like a book that I was really interested in and hadn't really heard anyone talk about, but I absolutely loved Hurricane Summer. It was a very, very painful book for me to read. Let's jump into the synopsis. So Tilla has spent her whole life trying to make her father love her, but every 6 months he leaves and goes back to Jamaica. And so basically then Tilla's mom tells her that she'll be spending the summer in Jamaica with her dad. And then that's when it starts to like happen. So not only does she have to really get a handle on her expectations of her dad, you know, around her, but then also around his family and his home, away from home, I guess. But also then there's an unexpected storm. And in the unexpected storm, Hurricane Summer, in the unexpected storm, she really has to, all of the issues that come in the book kind of come to a conflict point, I guess. And so Hurricane Summer deals with colorism, it deals with classism, it deals with sexism, it deals with like slut shaming, it deals with all of these different things. And I was just like, it was a very hard book in some senses to read because I really, really like felt so deeply for Tilla and the way that Tilla was being told or being socialized to like not connect with her body and to feel ashamed for like who she was and the way that she dressed and even just how she presented herself to other people. That was so hurtful and so awful. Then there's all the colorism and the classism. Like, this book was very intense, and then the storm, it kind of is the climax of a lot of these varying story points. It just is such a fantastic and heart-wrenching read. If you're definitely in the mood for it and you've looked at the trigger warnings, then you should definitely check it out, because I didn't really hear a lot of people talking about it, and I really enjoyed how swept away I was with this entire book. So the next one is, we're just going like straight from the bottom of this pile, is You've Reached Sam, which made me cry so much. I read this one so long ago, and every time I see this cover, I'm just brought back to these memories of just crying. But anyway, You've Reached Sam is about Julie. Julie, you know, thinks that she has her whole future planned out, but then her boyfriend Sam dies. When her boyfriend Sam dies, she just like is in, you know, she's not in denial, but she's, you know, experiencing a lot of pain. And so she then finds, she calls Sam's phone one last time, you know, when she's in the grief and in the midst of this, and she hears Sam's voice. Not just his voicemail voice, his like real voice. So it's like contemporary, but it also has kind of a fantastical shade to it, because, you know, like, Sam's dead. So why is Sam picking up the phone? The emotions in this book were intense. I loved how You've Reached Sam really navigates grief and loss and the really painful process, and how like people expect you to be like done with grief, but you're not, and how isolating grief can make you feel, and how difficult it can be to reach out when you're grieving, and even to other people who are grieving as well. All of these different things, and it just like wrenched my heart into little pieces. That's about it. I loved Julie's character, because Julie's character felt so relatable in a way that like I haven't experienced grief like Julie has, but relatable in the fact that, like, you know, you make mistakes when you're hurting and you lash out when you're hurting, like all of these different whirlwinds of emotion. And it just felt so much for Julie and also for Sam, and like this book was just high key emotions all wrapped into one. The next one is Ace of Spades, which honestly I cannot stop thinking about, even like months after I finished. Ace of Spades is this dark academic thriller, basically. That's how it should be described. To me, it was described to me as like dark academia, or yeah, I think dark academia was how it described me. But it's also a high thriller vibes, like very much so. So, in Ace of Spades, it's that in this high school, all of a sudden there's this anonymous texter named Aces. So then Aces texts people, and then they say, you know, oh, you know, they reveal secrets, but also kind of like hint at secrets that they're going to reveal in the future. So it revolves around these main characters. So Devon and Chiamaka. Devon is trying to like basically fly under the radar, but then private photos of his go public. And Chiamaka is kind of the it girl, and so she's just afraid to have everyone to find out here the price she has paid for power. So someone is someone is trying to get to them both. And yeah, oh, this does say thriller. I don't know, for some reason, like, before I read an arc of this one, I just didn't see so many people stressing the thriller aspect of it. High key thriller. It was so good. Okay, the things I really love about Ace of Spades, I actually really can't talk about because they're spoiler territory, which, like, makes me so, just so upset because I want to scream about all of the different things I loved about Ace of Spades. But if you want to be swept away by a YA thriller, you have to read this one. It is so good. There are so many different layers that I can't talk about, but I want to, that are fantastically interwoven. And also the characters are really great in this one because we see how they obviously have flaws and mistakes. You know, they're humans. But it's one of those books where you might hate a main character because they're so relatable or because they do things that you might do. That was not the case with me. I love both of these main characters, but I'm just saying, it's one of those things where, like, they are so relatable, it's a little bit scary because in how much you will sacrifice to get what you want and how much you'll sacrifice to to remain under the radar for safety, for, wanting to just keep parts of your life private. It was just so fantastically interwoven. The thriller aspects and also the character development I thought were really, really great in the way that they work together. The last physical one I want to talk about is Fresh. Fresh is so funny. Like, Fresh made me laugh out loud so much. How I felt about Fresh. The whole first half of Fresh, I was like, oh my god, this is so funny, this is hilarious. It talks about the freshman year of college, and then about halfway through, like, all the emotions and the intensity of the book just, like, steamrolled over me. So basically, in Fresh, which Fresh has footnotes and also Fresh has such a unique narration of a character that is one of the main reasons I love Fresh, is how witty and how unique and sarcastic and everything, the banter, but also the actual character narration is. Like, a character narration tells so much about a character, and this one, just pure perfection. Anyway, but in Fresh, Elliot is going to college, obviously, freshman year. And picking a major is the last thing on Elliot's mind when she's too busy experiencing all that the college has to offer, from dancing to testing her RA Rose's patience to making new friends. But she may not be ready for the fallout when reality hits. So I feel like Fresh has so much hilarity. It has the perfect balance between all these emotional highs, so hilarity and laughter and friendship and love on all of these things, and then emotional lows. Please check out the trigger warning also for Fresh, or trigger warnings for Fresh, but emotional lows and also making mistakes and how do you apologize for your mistakes. How, isn't the apology... the apology isn't like yours to accept, right? You make an apology and then someone else has to choose to accept that. It's not like you've made an apology, you're good, move on, right? So it's a lot about a character and a lot about growing up and a lot about, making these mistakes and how do you deal with the reckoning of them. It was just so good. I love it so much. Actually, honestly, Fresh was one of those books where I finished it and immediately was ready to reread it because it was so funny, and now I knew going into it the second time where the emotional, ups and downs were gonna be, and it was just so good. If you really love this kind of upper YA / new adult, basically, tide of books, I think Fresh is definitely the one to go for. And the last one is the Jasmine Project. The Jasmine Project was super fun because it was kind of pitched to me as this dating thing. So basically Jasmine is like on The Bachelorette, or so her family kind of keeps setting up these dates for her, but she doesn't know that she's on The Bachelorette. She doesn't know that these dates are being set up. And so she is about to move in with her longtime boyfriend, who, like, everyone's kind of like, meh, we don't love him at all. So let's see if we can get you a better boyfriend. So they have this secret Jasmine Project. And so that's what the premise that I had was going into the Jasmine Project. But what I love the most about the Jasmine Project is from the name, right? It's not called The Bachelorette. It is a project about Jasmine, and not necessarily only about kind of love and dating and all of these things, but like what I really loved about the Jasmine Project is that it delves so deeply into Jasmine as a character herself. How can she as a person grow and evolve? Because I feel like in relationships, a lot of who you are in a relationship tells a lot about who you are at that moment, right? So are you being as confident? Are you having boundaries? Are you, you know, feeling like it's okay to express yourself? All of these different things are so reflective of who we are at that moment. It's not only about being in love, it's about being in love as yourself, I guess. And so what I really loved about that was that it was just a book about Jasmine, and not necessarily about Jasmine's dating, but about Jasmine. And also the last thing I want to mention about the Jasmine Project is I felt that it was super relatable in the wondering if like you're staying with someone because you love them and like they bring out the best in you, or you're just kind of worried that no one will ever love you again. Like that was just that got me. So yeah, it just in a lot of ways felt very personally relatable to me, but also, as I said, it is so firmly rooted in Jasmine and Jasmine's character development and person as a whole. So those were these 7 YA contemporary debuts from 2021 that I really, really loved. Please, please, please go check them out. They are so fantastic. Please let me know down below what are some of your favorite YA contemporaries that you read, doesn't have to be debuts, in 2021 and that you'd recommend for me to read. And I will see you in the next edition / next video in this favorite series and or just video you see from me, because I am filming these, but I don't necessarily have a great plan when they're coming out, so just, you know, just know that. Anyway, have a great day, and I will see you later.